Okay, so in this lecture we are going to develop a TCP scanner. So what this scanner will do is it will try to connect with an IP address that we will provide, and then it will return back a connection acknowledgement which will tell us that the connection has been established properly. So TCP scanners are used for active scanning. For example, if you are in a network and you want to scan an IP address, then you can ping this IP address and get back different results. You can use this to, for example, know if there is any port open which is port open on the PC, and then you can use this port to attack this victim machine. So TCP scanning is very important step in hacking these systems. So what in this lecture what we are going to do is we are going to scan an nmap, and then we are going to get back the results, and then we will try port scanning. So let's proceed. So the first thing we need to do is we need to dial the TCP scanner or the IP address that we want to use. So the first thing we need to do is we need to define an IP. So in this lecture we are going to scan this address, which is scanme.nmap.org. So this is an an address provided by Nmap, which is the organization that has developed the program called Nmap or Network Mapper. So what this IP address represents is that if you ping it, it will return back an acknowledgement that you have been able to scan it or connect with this IP address. As we will move forward, you will see what we are trying to achieve. So the next thing you need to define is you need to define which port you want to use to communicate with this IP address. So in this we are going to use number port 80. So once you have that, the next thing you need to do is you need to connect with this address. To connect it, Go has a package called net, and it has a method called dial, which can be used to communicate with different IP addresses. So I'm going to use net.dial, and then you need to provide certain things. The first thing you need to do is you need to define which network layer protocol you want to use. You can use different network protocols. For example, you can use TCP, UDP, and several other. But in this lecture we are focusing on TCP. TCP uses a network of acknowledgement. For example, you try to connect with another machine, and then another machine sends an acknowledgement back which represents that the connection has been established properly. You can read about it online, but the most important factor is that it uses signals for communication and acknowledgement. So we are going to use a TCP connection. So the next thing you need is an address. So you have an IP address and a port, and then you can use address. So in our case, address would be IP and port, but you have to represent it in a different format. So an address could be something like this. For example, IP plus, and then you have to provide a colon which tells this net.dial function that the IP address has completed up to this point, and then after colon you define which port you want to use. And then I'm going to put this address here. So now what this function will do is it will try to dial this IP address. If you press documentation, you can see that dial connects to the address on the named network. So this is our network, and it will try to connect with it. And it will, if there is a successful connection, it will return two things: connection or an error if there is no connection. So then we can say that if error equals to nil, which means that the connection has been established properly, we can simply print out a statement. Print ln. We can say that connection established, and then we can tell which IP address it address.string. So this will tell us which is the server which is responding. So we are sending the address in a letter format, for example nmap.nmap.org, and this is not in the digit form. For example, something like 334.56.7.3. If you know the IP addresses, you will know that IP addresses can be represented in two forms, either using numbers or using these letters. So a DNS server will resolve this address into this thing, which is numbers. So our program is complete now. Next we will run this program. So I'm going to use go run p unscan. As you can see that it says connection established, and then it returns this IP address, which is 45.33.32.156. So this is the IP address of this address. In this way we can ping this. Here we can replace IP with anything that we want to scan, and then we will be able to scan it.